G'day traders, welcome to wrap up Tuesday, December 6th. Started today with very much two-sided perception. At the moment we're at the top of an uptrend, or what perceives to be the top of an uptrend. We're basically in an area where the market's really starting to stall. Doesn't know whether it wants to go up or down. Definitely due for a sell or a pullback at some stage. But then again too, we're still a little bit off our highs, so if the market really wanted to, it could push higher. So no real definite picture either way. So just opened the market thinking we could have buyers or sellers, and in the end you can see, especially for the morning, it's very much sideways action. A real indicator that the market is having a bit of a tussle between the buyers and sellers. Neither side has a real confidence that they want to take it one way or the other. And you can see also here, you can see some grey PowerPoints here. So this is a latest addition to the PowerPoint system. So basically every second PowerPoint on the same side is a grey one. So that one there, 1, 2, that second one there, second one here, second one here. So it's a PowerPoint system where you look to bounce off it. There'll be more information to come on it. We'll do a blog or something on it as well. So look out for that. That'll be quite interesting. But you can see these ones here. Quite interesting how the market has bounced off of them. But like in all cases with systems like this, you don't take every single one. There's got to be rules as to how we approach it, and they'll be out soon. So that'll be quite exciting. So like I said, the market started up very much going sideways. There was a real battle between the indices. Hopefully all of you are watching the other indices, and that tells a lot bigger picture of what's going on. And at this stage, throughout the morning and throughout most of the day, there was a real battle between the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones. So the Nasdaq was very much trying to push down all morning and stayed low, whereas the Dow Jones was trying to push higher. And it was up very high all day. So there's a real conflict between indices there, and that's kind of shown in this sideways movement. It's really tough to have an exact perception of where the market's going when you've got a real confliction like that going on between different markets. That's sometimes the case, I suppose. This PowerPoint here was the first real opportunity, bouncing off the yesterday's close. So you can see we pushed down, then started to push up. So if you want to go with the buyers, at this stage here, the predictor was crossing to the upside, so this area had a bit of value in it. The only thing stopping it, like I said, was the Nasdaq. It was very much pushing lower at the time, and it was something that that probably stopped you from taking this area, even though it was quite a valuable area. And in the end, the market's pushed higher. Moving on from there, around this area here, we've got a 5-minute setup. So it's actually a fade, so one that you look to buy. So once again, an area I thought had good value, looked quite close at it. But as the entry price approached, we had quite a few sellers on all the other markets. And you can also see down here is yesterday's close. So this quite often acts as an attraction. You can see the market kept on bouncing around and hanging around that yesterday's close. So the stop out would have been just down around here. So when we came to the trade, because there was a few sellers around, the fact that the stop would have been down here, just thought the trade didn't have a lot of value in it, even though it's the right area, or an area that it could definitely push up from, had a few things going for it. You've got to get the right entry, and in this particular case it just wasn't going on, so one to definitely leave and move on from. From there we continue to push sideways. A couple of opportunities here for the markets if it wanted to push up and get a 5-minute signal, and maybe that would have attracted a few more buyers, but in the end nothing's really happened. It's just continued to push sideways. So approaching lunch here now, just waiting for the market to really try and do something, basically pull away from this yesterday's close line, because it's kind of holding everything back at the moment. You just need to break either side of it and to get a fresh wave of buyers or sellers. Had a 5-minute sell just here. So once again that was a little bit interested in. When it came up, thought the market had potential to push down lower, but because the fact is it's going sideways and bouncing around this yesterday's close and also lunchtime, and you can see very much sideways action. One we decided to leave alone. I'll bring that up and show you that on the 5-minute chart soon. From here, this area here, it started to push up. This is a good example of why you watch the 5-minute chart, because just around here, the moving average was starting to point up, and the predictive crossed up as well. And all of a sudden, you see a burst of pressure to the upside, and nearly pushed through this PowerPoint here. So this area had a little bit of value in it as well, but not a lot happening. We're still very much heading sideways around this yesterday's close. A bit of a pullback, and then once again the same kind of thing happened just around this area here. Moving average still pushing to the upside. We had a pullback on the predictive, and then the predictive crossing to the upside here, and from this point here the market pushed up 5 points. So not an official 5-minute signal, but one that had a little bit of value. And if if you're watching the predictives closely, could have seen that one coming. From there we pushed up to this yellow and we started to get some buys and finally seen some movement for the day. The yellow held the market up and turned it around, so seeing a lot more of these yellows starting to work. That purple's out of place. That purple should be over here. So the market started to pull back to this purple. So this purple is an area that possibly at the time had good value, an area where the market could turn around, push back up, as we could see a lot of buyers around. So one to look at closely. But once again, when you look at it, and there's a lot of sellers on the other market, and David actually went through a good point that see this bit of a ledge here on all the markets. This little bit of a ledge was forming. So what he was doing when he was over here looking at the purple, even though this purple should be sitting here, is watching on all the markets to see what it's doing. So as it approached that ledge, he wanted to see, does the market turn around and show a bit of buyers and then take it and get on the upside, or are they pushing through it? And in this particular case, it was the Russell that by the time the other markets were approaching this ledge, it had already pushed down and quite heavily and had blown straight through that ledge there. So indicated that there's definitely more sellers around than expected, and to stay away from that area. So great example of watching the other markets and preventing you from getting into trades that are going to have stop outs. So that's why it's very worthwhile keeping an eye on those indices. And from there you can see the market's just pushed down to the close there. Let's bring up the 5-minute chart. So this is this fade I talked about here. So you can see it's crossing down, but the moving average is clearly pointing up. So looking for it to catch a pullback and then push back up to the highs, which in the end it didn't happen, and it was one that we wouldn't have got into anyway because all the other indices were pushing down at the time. So that's another example of watching the indices and preventing you from getting in trades that are less likely to work, which was that case. From there, this is that 5-minute sell that came up during lunch and during that sideways action. So overall, not a bad area. You can see the market's pushed down, pull back up, start to head back down. So maybe the sellers want to come and have a go and push down to the lows, but in the end it was very much sideways and not a good entry, so one left alone. Then you can see this is where the area where the moving average and the predictive crossed up, showed a bit of value there, pushed up, and then this is the one here where it pushed up 5 points from. So you can see the predictive pulled back, reloaded, and then started to push back up with that pressure of the moving average 20 pushing up as well. So it's this area here where, by looking at the 5-minute charts, even though there's no official 5-minute signal, you could see some pressure coming, and finally the sellers let go and the buyers are able to push the market up. So hopefully you can see that by watching the 5-minute charts, and then from there just continue to push up, and then we had that bit of a pullback where we possibly looked at the purple, but all the other markets were just too strong and pushed the market back down again. So that's a wrap up for today.